Welcome to another episode of the Blue Crew, a New York Rangers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jonny Lazarus, joined by my two idiot co-hosts, Cody Frankel and Avery Zaretsky. And I don't want to say anything right off the bat because we do got to give a congratulations to our dear friend Avery. And Avery, I'll just let you tell the story. The floor is yours.
All right. Moving to Florida, Miami. I'm going to be a Florida boy now. It's the first time I'm 25 years old. I've lived in New Jersey my entire life. Now I'm going down to Miami with the Blue York boys, AJ and Alex Castiglia. Give them a shout out. I'm really excited to hang out.
Bro, you're living by yourself.
I am living. Yeah, I am living by myself down there. I took a job with Better. They're a sports gambling company with co-founder Jake Paul. You probably know that guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm going back to video editing, back to that Barstool lifestyle. No more corporate.
Hell yeah, dude.
You were corporate for what, like a month?
No, longer
Worst
than
month
that.
of his life, bro. We heard about it every day.
No. Listen, I like the job I was working at. The good people. It was just it just wasn't a good fit for me. I liked a little bit more not laid back lifestyle, but less corporate.
Yeah.
You'd say.
And we should also say it's the first time the three of us are like on the show together, I think, in 2 months. Probably.
Yeah, me and Avery, it was a couple months, but we finally ended our feud. He stopped being a little bitch and, Venmo'd me the money he owed me. So we're cool now.
Yeah, let's also just keep this PG, Cody. Let's start with that. But no, I actually thought
is
that
bitch not PG?
That's definitely not PG. Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's good. It's good to be back with you, Cody. I really missed you. It was great. The episodes did a lot better when you weren't on, but it's fine.
Weirdo. I actually saw Cody yesterday. I stopped by. He was at tailgate in Brooklyn, with his boys before a wedding. He was like wearing a tuxedo at an outdoor sports bar. It was the funniest
dude. Everybody was coming up to me. It was great. Johnny walked right up to me. He goes, "Damn, you look good as fuck."
You did look good. You did look good.
Thanks, bro.
He said that to me too, though. Did we talk about the time that we ran into each other too?
I don't know if we talked about it on the show. No.
I was at an open bar and Johnny just walks in and he's like, "You look great." So I think he just says that to everybody.
Cody was like actually like looking really good. You did look good too, Avery, but Cody was like in a tux.
That's crazy. That's just a crazy statement. But
no, he was
that you looked good. I believe that is a crazy statement because you just look like shit.
But he said you actually look good, and he didn't.
Before Cody goes on with the terrible trash talk, let's just cut him off now. So should we just dive into just the topic of conversation around the Rangers, or how do you guys want to?
Yeah, it's great. We actually have a lot of stuff to talk about now, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Do we?
I think for starters, we should talk about the game against the Islanders, the most recent preseason game. I caught a little bit of it this morning. I couldn't watch it last night. I'm sure Cody probably couldn't watch it either last night. But Avery, did you catch the game at all?
Yeah, like bits and pieces. I don't really buy too much into preseason. Obviously, it's a little bit more in terms of the lower end guys trying to make the team. So I don't really I don't like to micromanage preseason, but I do like to see the guys back in the uniform, of course. I did watch a couple shifts. I thought Panarin looked good. I thought he was fine. Obviously people want to talk about the bad shifts and, like I said, micromanage, but I really like Othman's game. I think if we're talking about the guys who are looking to make the team, Othman, Brodzinski, Will Cooley, they've all looked really good. And I think that they're all looking to make the extra step. My favorite guy so far in preseason by far is Gustafsson, though. I think he's going to be a perfect six-man for the defensive core. I think
I've been on the Gus hype train, the Gus bus for sure.
I like that.
What movie's that from, bro?
Huh?
What movie's that from? Were you old enough to watch it? Were you old enough to watch it? I'm asking.
Avery,
say it, dude. Avery, say it, bro. Say the movie.
Well, I classify Gus Bus as bench warmers.
Yeah, that's
my way.
Yeah.
What else could it be?
I don't know. I was thinking Cody was thinking of some super old movie because he's so old.
All 5 years.
So I think right now Gustafsson is probably beating out Zach Jones for that sixth
obviously
spot.
Yeah. Dude, he had 42 points last year. He was not going to beat out Zach Jones. But Zach Jones is probably a lock for the 7th spot. And if a guy takes a step back like Schneider or someone, you never know. But
Schneider's actually, I think, looked kind of sloppy so far in preseason. I don't think he's been, and again, like Avery said, preseason hockey, I think when you're making the team is a little bit different. But Schneider, I'm sure he'll get his step back, as the games go on. But I don't think he's looked great so far.
Yeah. So I actually have a question. So this might be a dumb question, but is there a reason Perreault wasn't invited to training camp?
He's not signed.
That's just the sole reason that he hasn't been signed.
You have to be signed by the Rangers to attend training camp.
Yeah, he's also for sure going to college. So
no, I know, but I figured, but I figured like they could still extend him an invite, like if he was signed, I guess. So
not a dumb question, not a smart question.
No, it's going to be a 2-year process with him. He'll be invited next year, and then he'll probably make the team the year after.
But I'm sure there's people that are listening that don't know that. So kind of a good question.
Yeah, good question. Are you more hyped about Perot or Othman?
I think we talked about this on a recent episode. I think we were asked this question, and I said Othman because just Othman is more of like a right now. Perot, obviously, like Avery just said a minute ago, is more 2 years down the road. And, I think Othman is just more of the like Ranger type of blue collar player that the fans are going to love. Perot is a stud. Don't get me wrong. And he's got a ton of skill, a ton of talent. He'll be a different kind of, like star-studded Ranger that I think people criticize a little bit more than Othman because Othman has the work ethic. I'm not saying Perot doesn't work hard, but it's so easy to love a guy like Othman because I think
you just said Perot's going to suck.
No, shut the fuck up. But you know what I mean? It's just very easy to love a guy like Othman who brings that like Ryan Callahan like type of work ethic, right? Like I think that's just Othman's effort will be shown every night.
So let me ask you this then. If the Rangers somehow find cap space going into the deadline and they have the ability to make some form of a game-changing move that could put them over the top and the other team demands one of Othman or Perot, who are you going with if you have to do it?
That's a good question.
You have to do it to win. If hypothetical, but if it guarantees you a cup,
it doesn't really matter if they win if they win a cup, right? Like,
okay, it guarantees you a trip to the finals, and then it's TBD.
I think it would really depend on where Othman is at that point. Like, if he's producing a lot, you probably get rid of Perot. But if he's not, then you might think about getting rid of Othman and then just waiting for Perot. But I mean, if it guarantees you a cup, like Johnny said, it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah.
But I love Othman's game. Like Johnny said, I think Ryan Callahan's a really good comparison for him. And listen, he could end up being a second line guy, maybe even a first line guy down the road. He has that scoring ability. He has that edge. I really like him a lot.
I tweeted it yesterday or like 2 days ago. I don't think Othman will make the team out of camp, but I guarantee that he'll finish the year on the team.
I mean, that's a given. That's a given.
No, because I think he's making a pretty strong case to make the team out of camp.
I don't think he's gonna make the team. Dude, the only way he's making the team out of camp, like I said, is if they guarantee him a top 9 spot. They're not going to throw him on the 4th line, and they do have a fucking top 9 spot open. I mean, technically, right? Like VC's probably that 3rd line guy right now who you don't really want on the 3rd line, but at the same time, they're not going to waste a year of eligibility on this kid if he's not going to be like bona fide star at the beginning. What are you giggling at?
Eligibility. It's not college.
I mean,
he's talking about ELC. He's talking about
it was just cute. It was cute.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah. Very cute, Cody.
Thank you.
Okay, so now let's go into a topic of conversation that I actually want to ask Cody specifically. It seems like Alexis Lafreniere is getting somewhat of a Zach Wilson kind of treatment. And I don't think it's fair. Then again, I don't pay as close attention to the Jets and Zach Wilson, so I don't really know if the hate on him is warranted. But, from what you're seeing around Lafreniere, and there was a lot of criticizing him last night about the first goal against because, he didn't back check his hardest after like a minute plus shift.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
Him out too.
Yeah, I think Laviolette too. We can get into that after. Laviolette's been fucking amazing so far. But before we get into that, let's talk about the Lafreniere criticism. Like, what have you seen, Cody?
So, admittingly, I've only watched 2 of their games so far. I mean, the other 2. Yesterday was game 4, right? That was the 4th game. Yeah. So I watched the Devils game and then I watched the opening game. But I think first and foremost, it's not even comparable. It would be different if you were comparing like Laff and Trevor Lawrence, who was a number 1 overall pick. Like Wilson was number 2. He just sucks. Quite frankly, he's just trash.
Dude, the Joe Namath comments about Zach Wilson were insane.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like Messier saying that about Alexis Lafreniere?
Yeah, but this might be a hot take for Jet fans, and I'm a big Jet fan, but like Joe Namath wasn't like one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Like he wasn't. He won them a Super Bowl. His stats like were fine. I mean,
Cody's
he wasn't like
I don't know enough.
He wasn't like a Brady. Like, dude, don't get me wrong. He is he's an all-timer for sure, but he wasn't like, a top 5, top 7 guy. But everybody misconstrues that because, obviously he won the Jets that Super Bowl in 1969 and had an unreal season and, whatever. But like his whole career, like he wasn't this unbelievable, unstoppable guy like a Mark Messier or Wayne Gretzky. But those comments, I mean, he is the most famous Jet ever. Yeah. So to hear that as a quarterback in the same position as him, it's obviously can't make you feel that good. It is warranted. I mean, Zach Wilson fucking sucks. He can't throw the ball. He doesn't throw the ball further than 20 yards. He's playing scared. I think the similarity in the two is what I just said. I think Laf plays scared. I think there's a lot of times he plays scared. He just needs to finish his checks more. He needs to be more aggressive. He needs to dude, when he was playing in Canada, I mean, dude, he had 60 goals before he was drafted or something crazy. And he just needs to get out of his own head. I think, the pressure of Broadway is probably on him a little bit, but it shouldn't be that much pressure because he's surrounded with other superstars. And I think he just needs to get out of his own head. I still think he's very talented and I still have confidence in him. Obviously if we're 70 games into the season and the guy's at 35 points, then that's a totally different story. But I mean, dude, Zach Wilson's not even a starting QB. He's probably a backup on half of the leagues. He's just trash. I mean, he's trash.
The thing about the Q is that it doesn't really translate to the NHL as much as these other Canadian leagues. Obviously, Crosby is a major outlier from that, but a lot of guys that come out of the Q just aren't as good as the guys who come out of other major junior programs.
Yeah. But you see the flashes with Laf.
For sure.
Right? You see the flashes and you're like, holy shit, how did he do that? But then the next 10 games, you won't see that again. And you're like, oh my God, it's a recurring theme here. And again, I think the biggest thing for him from my point of view is he plays scared and it's very obvious. There's 5 or 6 games, you just see him invisible, but then you can see him a year and a half ago in the playoffs 2 seasons ago, and he was fucking dominant and he was bodying people. He was bullying the Penguin, so it's really dependent. I don't know if his issues are in his head. I don't really know what's going on there. Obviously he hasn't been too great this preseason, but like Avery said, it's preseason. It's very irrelevant. Give it 20 games. If the first 20 games, if he has 3 points, okay, then we can talk. But
yeah, he has until March. I will give him until March. Then you got to seriously consider.
I won't give him until March. I'll give him until January because it's because dude, if he's playing half the season, how would you feel going into the All-Star break and the guy has 12 points? You're not going to feel good about that.
Well, I want to give him every chance he has to succeed, right? So you give him until March, and if he's not good enough, then you trade and then you look to add that top 6 asset like the Rangers have done in the past. But
it's on the Rangers too. It's on the Rangers too. They have to play him in the top 6. They can't push him to the third line or fourth line. And I know exactly what you're going to say, Johnny. And I know the way it's going to stack up is he's going to be that third line left wing, and it's just
no.
Oh, okay. Because I just think I don't know. I just think that's the wrong move because they've tried it for 3 years and it hasn't worked. So I know you want to play him on his natural position and stuff, but I think at his age and his skill, put him with the most talent as opposed to his natural position. Guys in every sport do it. And if you're an elite athlete, you should be able to play on the other side. And it's not that big of an adjustment in the NHL.
I was going to say, as of right now, he's been given all the opportunity by Laviolette. He's getting first line, he's getting first power play in preseason. So it's, it's still preseason. It's, you can't really judge fully on that because come opening night, let's see what he can do when the games really matter. Right. And I don't think anyone Mika has. I mean, Mika played 1 game, hasn't looked great. He was obviously day to day. In my mind, no one really has stood out, or at least the regulars have stood out in such an incredible way in the preseason. And that's, why preseason is what it is.
It's expected.
But to that said, or to that point, the eyes are on Lafreniere. So
totally.
If he's not fired up to play in the preseason, I'm hoping he can channel that in the regular season, but he should be fired up every time he's playing. And I don't think he's been as bad as the narrative is right now. He just hasn't been great. And I think for him, the expectation is to be great when he's given the opportunity. And that's why it's somewhat of a failure early on here in preseason because he hasn't exceeded any expectation. He's just been a little bit mid.
Yeah, but there gets to be a point where that really starts to get to you mentally, and then you don't want to play for your team anymore. And I think if this trend continues throughout this season and he's just like, he's on pace for, 40, 45 points, like just a slight tick up from last year, like he's going to hear from fans. He's going to hear from people. And I think it's going to get to the point where like he's going to ask out. Like I really think, like I really, really do. If he does not break out this season, and I'm talking about like 55 points or higher, there's a good chance he doesn't play for the Rangers next year, because I think he's going to, and I think it's going to be his choice, because I think it's really going to start to get to him. And he's just at a point, like you want to be happy playing the sport you love, and you want to, you're playing a sport professionally. That's your career. Just like Avery, just, he's going to better. Like that's going to be his career. He wants to do something he loves. Like you're trying to do something you love. Like I do something I love. Like, dude, he wants to do something he loves. And when fans, especially in New York, which is a very unforgiving city, are getting on his case, like at some point it's going to break him, and he's just going to be like, just get me out of here.
Well, I know for a fact he like sees what the media says. Like he's talked about it at training camp. I've been to practice a couple of days. I've been to the games, and I'll be, I think I said it last episode, I'll be at every home game. So like, I'm hearing what he's saying after games. Like he's aware of the narrative. And, I think something about New York fans, right, is when we get impatient, which is, pretty often, we tend to drive players out of here. And I think we're seeing that right now with the Jets and Zach Wilson. Like that's why I brought it up. Mm-hmm. And I would hate for that to be the case with Lafreniere, because I think the three of us can, pretty much defend everything about Lafreniere because we love him as a player and a kid.
I have his jersey.
But no, it's it's obviously sad and sucks to see. But even like on Twitter today, I saw the clip circling of, the goal last night that Pajot scored, and Lafreniere, dives on the back check instead of like fully hustling. But, the narrative is that 7 seconds where he, lacks the back check, not the full minute 13 shift of him, winning a 1-on-3 battle, winning a 1-on-1 battle in the offensive zone, like moving his feet on the forecheck. Like he did some good things on that shift. And then, anyone that's played hockey knows what it's like to be caught on a long shift and you're back checking and you can't even fucking feel your legs. Yeah. And at least he made the effort and dove. I think I'm not going to defend that back check because, obviously it was what it was, but it's not like he was like so fucking lazy where he didn't even try. And I think, that's just something important to note, because, I'm going to defend Lafreniere obviously until
that's your guy. Yeah.
I mean, listen, every guy in New York has a shorter fuse than if he plays in San Jose or wherever. At the end of the day, it's just it's the natural part of being a New York Ranger. That's just what you're going to get. But with Alexis Lafreniere, like you look at Edmonton, right? They drafted Nail Yakupov. He was supposed to be the superstar. And at some point they bit the bullet. And at some point we have to bite the bullet too, but I'm not ready to do it yet. I don't think that all of this raw talent is wasted yet. I really think he has it. And I think that if you look at power play time from the last like 21st overall picks, Alexis Lafreniere is like at the bottom of the list by like a significant margin. So they really haven't given him that like full chance to get the points. And I think in his career, he's like third or fourth in Rangers even strength goals 5-on-5. So he hasn't been terrible. He's not the guy that we drafted him to be right now, but he still can be. I'm not out on it yet.
Yeah. And I do just want to caveat real quick, right? Like you did mention a comparison who he's been getting a lot is Nail from Edmonton, who was drafted, I think in like, 12 or 11 or something like that. But he was obviously, the first overall pick. And I get there's similarities there, but they're also two very, very different players, right? Like Yakupov never surpassed ever. I think it was like 33 points, something like that. And the guy had, I think his like plus minus on Edmonton was like a -70. All right. Like Lafreniere is, he's I mean, like his plus minus in 3 years is +5. I mean, he had 39 points last year. He is trending up like every year, right? He had 21, 31, 39. Like he's trending up slightly, just not to New York fans' expectations for a first overall pick. But I think the skill level is a totally, totally different breed than what Yakupov was. And I think I just think Lafreniere is there's a lot more upside there. And he just needs to find his game. I mean, that's it at this point. Like, like Johnny said, we can keep defending him. But there comes to be a point where it's like you see Kakko and he's just dominant. even if he's not putting up the points, like you see what he's doing and how he's building his game. And like, this is the year that Laf has to do it too. And if he doesn't, I mean, we really can't defend him anymore. And like I said, I really, really firmly believe, like, if he does not have a breakout season this year, like even if he finishes with like 48 points or something, I don't think he's going to be a Ranger next year, because I think there comes to be the point where he wants to play for us, and that's like slowly dwindling.
Cody's fucking on one today.
He is also recording a podcast, not on Do Not Disturb. Crazy, but we got it. It's fine.
I want to transition into lobby.
I heard one of your phones ring before, and I know it was fucking Johnny.
No, it wasn't me.
Or it was Avery. It was Avery.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. Don't you lie to me, dude? I heard that ring.
Let me transition a little bit into Laviolette, because I think what we've seen from him so far, I mean, I personally am a big fan. And I think we talked about it last week with Emily Kaplan. Like, I wasn't when they made the hire at first, but we haven't seen a coach really come in here the last, 4 or 5 years or so and call out the team like in the preseason, right? Like, Laviolette basically said, like, last night was unacceptable, not good enough. And he's like, saying basically things that are, work ethic is not a system, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he's going to call out these guys, and it doesn't matter who they are.
It was not good at all. So there's just way too much missing in the first period. Mildly better in the second, but not good enough. And then in the third period, we decided to work and compete. And thought our execution was way off the mark. Didn't make passes, couldn't get shots off, and just off the end of our stick and not executing well. But that's unacceptable. The first half of that game was just, it's not who we are or who we want to be. So.
And I think that's super important, especially for a team that's trying to win right now. Is, Gallant obviously never really called out the players, at least, maybe not more than 5 times in his 2 years. David Quinn, it was a different kind of situation, right? They weren't really competing for a Stanley Cup, so it's not necessarily
it's Torts era, bro.
Yeah, it was more of a process with Quinn, but Laviolette's not shy to say, or at least voiced his disgust. So it's going to be a different year as far as like watching the team, paying attention to the team, media coverage, because, Laviolette's he's a guy that there's no bullshit. So I'm excited for that personally.
And the last thing I want to say, and then we can get off the loft topic, is like
we're
going
off the loft topic.
No, because I just also wanted to say, like, we, like I said earlier, we have a bunch of superstars on our team, and obviously Laviolette called everybody out yesterday. Like, it's on them too to, it shouldn't just have to be on these kids. Like, they're very, very important to us getting to the next level and winning the cup. But I do think we need to see our guys like, Mika, Kreider, Zib. Well, Mika is Zib, dumb. But Panarin and, all those guys, like, we need them to go off, right? Like, we need them to do their thing. We need them to score goals. We need them to, get apples and all that stuff too. So I think it's really important just to caveat that as well. And, it's really going to be a whole team effort, and it can't just be on Igor. It's going to be the same shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lack of accountability with Gallant, I feel like, and just seeing it from Laviolette to start the season and preseason is really it's good. We like to see that.
Should we go to some fan questions? We got a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Let's rock and roll.
All right. Well, first I want to give a shout out to Anthony. He sent us like a 20-minute clip of him talking about the Rangers and Devils, and I was DMing with him a little bit, and we tried it last year with Rocky, where like people sent what. Why are you guys laughing?
Cody literally just smiles, and it really just messes with my head, dude.
Well, we tried last year, like people sending in videos if they want to be like featured on the podcast. Like Rocky sent one last year with like a take, and then we can debate it. So Anthony, I told him it was a little bit too long, like a 20-minute thing is not coming in the podcast.
Well, that's why I was laughing, because normally Johnny's like, all right, and we're gonna play it now, and I saw it was 20 minutes, so I knew you were
I listened
to it. I want to shout him out.
It was
100%.
Yeah, it was solid.
It's just a little too long to throw in here, but
TCNJ, baby.
We encourage anyone who wants to be like featured on the show. I mean, people always ask to come on the pod, so like if you have something that you want to be heard, like send us a minute and a half clip. We'll throw it in here. We'll talk about it. I think that's just the best way to go about it. So shout out to Anthony, and I'll get into some questions now. We'll start with the ones from Twitter. First question from Twitter, Mike Grinnell. When will Avery jump in the Hudson?
Well, listen, I could jump in whatever water
in Miami
is in Miami, yeah, but I'm gone, brother.
Dude, how about if the Rangers win the cup? You jump in the Hudson. How about that?
That's not the point. That's that.
Yeah,
I'll jump in with you.
I was actually planning on doing it. My issue is that I don't get paid by them. So
yeah, we talked about this,
and I know that we talked about this when Mike was on, but I don't get paid by them, and I know they're gonna want to film it. So it's like, I agreed to that under the assumption that I was going to be working with them, but at the same time, I am a man of my word. Eventually, I'll do it. It's going to suck, but I'll do it. Eventually.
Who's Barstool Lurch?
Lurch?
Yeah, he just replied to my
Foreplay.
tweet. Oh, he just replied to my tweet.
Yeah, he's the man. I love Lurchy. Did he ask a question?
No, he said I would just it was about Lafreniere's shift. I would just say in that shift, it looked like there was multiple times he could have gotten off the ice, spread man down the wing, and right after he throws the hard wrap down the boards, to name some obvious ones. It ain't summer league anymore when you take a 5-minute shift.
Lurchy's the man, but he's always got some rips for the Rangers.
Should I keep this in the show?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's go to the next one from our boy Rocky. How many points do you guys think Trouba will get this season? Personally, I think he has a great season under Lav.
Yeah. I think we actually didn't do this one yet, right?
No, we haven't done Trouba,
which is great. I love the graphics we've been doing, point graphics.
I'll have to get back to those.
I don't know how many points he had last year, but I think it'll go up.
Last year he had 30.
30. That's it.
Year before 39.
Yeah. It felt like a lot more. I actually thought he had a really good year last year. Not points wise, just in general. I thought Trouba was a great defenseman last year. I thought he stepped it up from the previous year.
I had mixed feelings on it. I don't think he was as good defensively last year, which I guess means he wasn't as good last year because he's a defenseman. But no, I listen. I like Trouba as a player. I don't think he's the offensive guy anymore, though. I don't think he'll run the second power play unit, so I don't think his production will go up. I think it'll actually go to like the 20-25 point range.
Really?
Well, he's not going to get power play time. I mean, it's not like he tore it up on the second unit, but that definitely boosted his points a little bit. I think he had 7 points in the power play last year, or 5 power play points. So you take those away, 25 points.
Honestly, we don't need him to be this.
No,
we got with the emergence of Keandre Miller. I mean, I think Miller's gonna have a crazy year. I think he's a superstar in the making if he just continues doing what he was doing. And sometimes he gets lazy like a little bit, but I think if he just works that stuff out, obviously as he grows and matures as a player, I think that he's just going to be incredible. I love him. And, I think like with Foxy and him, like we don't need, and Gustafsson will get a bunch of points too. Yeah. So like, we don't need Trouba to do that. We need Trouba to rattle the other team and literally set the tone for games. That's it.
Yeah, I agree.
Foxy talks a lot about the comfort that he has playing with Lindgren. I would like to see Foxy and Miller play together this year and kind of give Trouba that same feeling of like comfort, so Trouba can kind of unlock his offensive side, because we know he has that shot. Like we know he's a strong offensive player when he has that ability. I just think playing with a younger player like Keandre has kind of made him a little bit more defensive minded in terms of like staying back and letting Keandre do that. Be responsible. So I think I mean, we've seen it in camp a little bit, but I know Foxy and Miller would be unbelievable together.
Well, they played together in the Devil preseason game and they looked good together, obviously, but I know I'm probably one of the few that's like strongly against it, but they need to spread it out. I think if you're gonna have Lindgren and Trouba playing together,
yeah, why not? We when we got Trouba, he was like an offensive minded defenseman.
That's 5 years ago already.
I know, but there's no reason why his ability is just on, like, it's just tapped. It's definitely not tapped.
No, but I think it's just Keandre and Foxy are so strong separately at breaking the puck out, making offensive plays, like truly creating. And I think when you have Lindgren and Trouba out there together, it's listen, they're fine. Lindgren can break the puck out too, but it's just not as clean, not as crisp. It's more like high glassing out, where Foxy makes a pass that leads to a 2-on-1, or Miller just skates it out and starts an odd-man rush.
It wouldn't hurt to try, is what I'm saying.
Well, I think Gustafsson has that ability too.
10 games.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Gustafsson and Trouba together.
Yeah. Listen, my thing here is in the NHL as a grand scheme, the goal is just to make the playoffs. Doesn't matter how you do it. Doesn't matter if you're first in your division, if you're wild card. Obviously, home ice advantage helps a little bit. But I wouldn't hate seeing them try different things this year. I think we got a lot of the same lineup last year. And I would just like to see them mix it around a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think chemistry is such a huge part in hockey, right? We know this. Johnny, you and I played. It just
Cody,
it wasn't meant to be a dig at Cody.
I just played street hockey.
Well, and Cody, from watching too. From watching too, chemistry is so big. Like you look at some of the best lines in hockey that have been playing with each other for so long. It's just one of those things where you play with each other long enough. It's basically telepathy. Like Foxy and Lindgren know where they're going to be on the ice. They know when they can take chances and when not. So it's just like maybe build some chemistry in some other different ways and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Our next one is from Rich RL310. What are the chances the Rangers decide to not keep Quick? 2 games total of 4.5 periods of play, and he's given up 7 goals. Yes, D has been rough, but he has looked not quick.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. He has not looked good by any means. I do think, in his first start, the defense did leave him out to dry a little bit. They didn't play their best. But again, same thing, preseason, like don't read too much into it. These players were off for a while. They're probably all getting back in the swing of things, just like when we take a vacation. And I mean, this guy's a seasoned pro, multiple cups, like he's going to be just fine. And I don't think anybody could have a worse start to their Ranger career than Halak. So there's that.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. I think he lost his first 8 games.
8-0-8. Yep.
Yeah. I don't see them moving quick.
No, definitely not.
It makes no sense. I mean, it makes no sense. And they have good guys like in Hartford that can come up to, like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine as well. The next one is from JT, Joe Tap 27. Are these rumors of Laf true? I don't really know what he's referring to.
I know what they are. It's that he's been like drinking all summer and not taking his game seriously and like, playing softball and just
I did see a tweet, right? It was like
all that shit. Yeah,
I talked to a reporter that was close to the team, and
it's bullshit.
That, right?
It's
First of all,
bullshit. Yeah. I mean, it's clickbait. Like this
First of all, the reporters that are close to the team know nothing because the Rangers don't give out anything. So
yeah,
I wouldn't read too much into that.
Yeah,
Sorry, Johnny, but you know that.
Yeah, I mean,
especially the
reporter close to the team. But yeah, I don't like hang out with Lafreniere all summer. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're close. Yeah. You're close to the team, but close to the Rangers. They like getting anything out of them is impossible. So
also that's something that like unless you're around him all the time, how could you really?
Yeah.
Make that a story.
Not much slips through the cracks with the Rangers.
But also, like, of course, he's like a young kid who likes to party. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But when it's time to play, like, show up and fucking play.
That's it.
Work hard, play hard. So, last one on Twitter from Joe Albanese. What's the ideal spot for in this lineup? Playing with Mika, Hedl, or Trocheck?
I think we all agree he should probably be on the second line. It's tough because you want Hedl to elevate his game as well, and you want Kakko to elevate his game as well. Spreading the 3 of them out on 3 separate lines isn't the worst idea, but then one of them has to be on third line, and I think Hedl made a very good case to be the 2C, and he as a player just signed a nice deal for us, and he wants to elevate his game as well. So I lean towards like Tro. But at the same time, I feel like they're going to put Hedl as 2C. So then it's like kind of, going against what I was saying earlier, where it's that would line him up for the third line. But I think he needs top line minutes to really elevate his game. So it's tough.
By the way, first time in a long time, I really feel good about our depth at center. Like it's awesome.
Yeah. Agreed.
I would also say second line with Hedl. As well. And Trocheck's been pretty vocal about it too, like in the locker room and stuff, telling the media that he's, comfortable playing third line, more responsible defensive minutes, which is something we talked about, I feel like a couple weeks ago, if that was going to happen or not. And it seems like that is the case to what you were just saying, Cody. So I would say, yeah, second line, right wing, or even left wing. Would
it be crazy to make the line Kreids, Hedl, Laf?
No. What was the line last year? What was the third line last year that was awesome? It was like, there's my phone going off again.
Fucking knew it. I knew it.
What was the crazy third line that was awesome last year? It was like Trocheck, Kreider, and VC. They had
that
like
was
a really
for a couple
run.
games. Yeah, I think so.
I actually like that. Obviously, you're not going to see Kreider on the third line maybe until like later in the season, but
maybe.
Who knows?
I wouldn't say it's not possible.
Yeah, 100%. That's a guy you could throw anywhere and he'll be good. So
yeah,
I don't. That's another thing. I don't look at, and I actually agree with Galan on this. I don't really look at lines as like numbers. I always just think like you just put guys wherever they fit best, and they're all going to get like somewhat of the same playing time. Obviously, the first line maybe a little bit smidge more, second line smidge more than the other, but if you look at time on ice last year, like there were times where third line guys got more ice time than second or first line guys.
Totally.
Yeah. All right, let's go into the questions from Instagram. This one is like kind of a long one. It's from Pete Dempsey, who's like a pretty loyal question asker. He's got a couple for us. This first one's from me. What position did you play, and what is your favorite memory from your collegiate career? I played right wing, and my favorite memory was scoring at Minnesota against Minnesota.
Pulled away out of a crowd by Jonny Lazarus. 2-on-1 if they hurry. Lazarus shoots, and he scores. Jonny Lazarus took it all the way. The 2-on-1 threat that Shearhart had to acknowledge. And UMass is on the board. It's 2-1.
No, I didn't ask this question myself, guys. That's what you're laughing about.
No, I'm laughing. Never mind. All right.
And then the second one, I know it's a few years in the future, but we're coming up on the centennial anniversary of the Rangers. Cody, Avery, and Johnny, what would you like to see the centennial jersey look like if you were planning on buying one? Would you want the typical jersey with the diagonal lettering or the throwback to the 70s where the logo was in the middle? That's a fucking great question.
Great question.
Great question.
Yep.
I love that 70s jersey, like the Rod Gobert ones with the Rangers crest in the middle and like that red sleeve kind of, right? It was like a blue and red sleeve.
Is that the one where it's like white and then because I'll show you the one my brother actually just sent me a picture of someone was like selling like an old one that was sick. I gotta find it.
And that'll be the 25-26 season, just to clarify.
Yeah. You guys keep talking. I'm gonna find this picture though.
So
I'm trying to find mine too.
Is it this one?
Yeah, that one, and then the blue one. The blue one too.
Yeah, that one is sick.
Well,
I always use that one, and like when I'm playing Hut or like NHL, I always use that jersey when I play as the Rangers.
Wasn't it also like the blue ones with diagonal, but it's instead of saying Rangers, it said New York?
Yeah, that was a good one too.
Yeah,
that was like a couple years ago.
Was it? No,
you're talking. Those are the 95th or the
not even. It didn't have the threads, Johnny. It was the one with just the V-neck, no threads.
Yeah. I also love the Winter Classic 2012.
Yeah. I mean that one's incredible. So I was gonna ask this at the end, but since we're talking about this, like, what do you guys want the Stadium Series jerseys to look like? Do we know?
That's another one I haven't really thought about because the last Stadium Series were awful.
Yeah, and also like. I've been like kind of dreaming about the Rangers like releasing their Stadium Series merch, and I just hope they have like sick hats, sick shirt, like because their hat. I'm sorry, but their hats fucking blow. Like the hats that the NHL and MSG put out are just trash, except for when they just put out the Winter Classic ones a couple years ago were sick, and then also the Reverse Retro. I feel like they had really good merch. So
yeah, I was a fan.
These
of
the ones I was
Retro.
talking about, by the way.
Yeah, those are great. I think those would be awesome. Listen, I didn't really like the Reverse Retro at first. It kind of grew on me, but at the same time, I don't understand why they couldn't just do the old jerseys. Like there were so many good variations of older NHL jerseys that they could have done, but the old Liberty was perfect, man. Like I have a white Gretzky one in my basement. It's just a sick jersey.
Yeah, the Navy Leech.
What I would love for them to do, which the USA World Junior team did in that outdoor game in Buffalo, make it like a football jersey. If they had like the giant jersey, because they wouldn't go Jets obviously because the colors, but like to have like NY with like the numbers on the front.
Yeah, or baseball. I mean, like long sleeve baseball ones would stick to. No, I know. Oh yeah, you're right. That would be sick, but they'll never do it, dude. They'll never do it.
I think that's possible.
They don't have the guts.
And we're playing the Islanders, right?
Yeah.
And
we have to go to that game. Like,
we will.
We have to go.
Did you guys see also that Adidas like sneakily dropped sneakers for that game?
No.
What?
They dropped like a New York Rangers pair. They're actually kind of cool.
Really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, like exclusively on their app, they dropped a pair of Rangers and Islanders pairs of sneaker. Someone like posted on Twitter, and everyone's like, "Where'd you find that?" And they sent the link. If you like look it up, like Rangers Stadium Series Adidas sneaker, they're actually kind of cool.
I'll check
really.
it out.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool.
All right. Next one from Jackknife82. Prospect question. Scouts say Gabe Perreault's skating isn't strong. What's wrong with his skating? I could start this one if you guys want.
Go for it.
I wouldn't say his skating is weak. He's just not very explosive. Like there's no second gear with Gabe. Like he doesn't really blow by defensemen with his speed, but that's totally fine. And he has 2 years now to get bigger and stronger in college. But he's not like a slow skater. He's more of like a Panarin, right? Like Panarin doesn't, show his like he doesn't have like a burst of speed. He doesn't have a burst of speed really ever, but it's not like he's slow.
He's a very skilled player.
Yeah, and he's not the prettiest skater in the league because that's Lafreniere, but yeah, I mean he has time, and he still has, like you said, probably about 2 years before he sees the show. So it's not something that's very pressing right now, and I think more so, these guys drafted a goal scorer, and that's what he is, and he has a beautiful shot, and
he's a great
playmaker than a goal. Yeah, more of a playmaker than a goal scorer, I would say.
But his shot is just so. I could see him being a 25 goal scorer, like easy
rookie year
NHL, like possibly. I think he's gonna be sick. I don't think he's obviously as much of a goal scoring threat as like a guy like Othman, but I think he still has a couple years to develop, and he's gonna get what Othman didn't. Right, like Othman didn't really get to come to Hartford until this year, possibly. So. He's going to go right into the, wherever.
I love that Othman just goes to the net, man.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the difference between him and Perreault is like Perreault's going to be like a more outside Panarin type playmaker, whereas like Othman will just be like a Kreider and just go straight to the net.
Yeah.
Which
next
both
one.
Great.
What's up?
Which would both be great.
Yeah. That's what you would want, balance, right? All right. Next one from Jay McCabe, 118. Gaze into the crystal ball. Is Laff a Ranger post trade deadline? Does Zach Jones get dealt?
Two good questions. I think we kind of touched on that a little bit. I said that I'm giving him until the trade deadline to kind of prove that. So I don't really have an answer for that. But if I'm looking into a crystal ball, I'd love to see Laff stay with the Rangers. I obviously still have an attachment to him. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say he's going to fight the noises here and do it. And man, it would really suck to lose Zach Jones, but I just don't think there's room for him right now.
Yeah,
and it's going to be tough to find room for him. They haven't really given him the opportunity. They've given him a couple chances, called up, whatever. But he's such a talented player. He's a little undersized, but his speed and his ability to move the puck is great. Man, yeah, that's one guy. That's one guy I really wish would fit into the lineup, but it just doesn't right now.
The thing that sucks is like he's going to be a classic case of the overcrowd, like you said, and we've seen it many times in the past with the Rangers where they've done this. They've shipped out a guy and then he kind of flourishes elsewhere, like Pionk and I know Lundqvist like hasn't really broken out yet, but he's still obviously
he had a solid year in Dallas.
Yeah, he had a solid year, and then who did we trade like 5-6 years ago? Who I think he won the cup with the Avs.
Don't say that name, Johnny.
What's his
Ryan Graves?
Ryan Graves, yeah. And
was he on that Avs team?
I don't know.
The Devils. He just got traded from the Devils.
Yeah. Maybe
I'm pretty sure he won the cup.
I think he won the cup and then got moved, but maybe he left the year before. But like regardless, dude,
yeah,
he's had some like he's a good defenseman now, and that's just a classic scenario of like no room. Rangers had to move him, and is what it is. But I don't know. So.
No,
I think Laff is what'd you say?
He didn't win the Stanley Cup.
He didn't win.
Yeah, right. You're right. Yeah.
I think Laff is a Ranger post deadline. I do think Jones will get dealt, but I think Jones wants to stay here. So I don't really know how that's going to go down. And he also is the first call up probably if anything happens. So I'm not going to say he'll get dealt like right away, but maybe by the deadline.
Yeah, I hope not.
Next. Oh, Jay McCabe again. Which vet players benefits the most from the new coaching staff, in your opinion?
Vet players.
I think Panarin, personally. I think Panarin, I think he is finally going to have that. I think he's really going to pass 100 this year, and I think he's going to flourish under a new coach. It's been a little weird for him with coaching these past two coaches, and I think he hasn't really like fully settled in, and I think Laviolette's going to be the right guy to push him in the right way and, get him back to scoring goals, playmaking, like everything he knows and loves about the game, and, just really have fun with it and have a great year. So,
yeah, I actually completely agree with Cody, because one of the big things we've struggled with Panarin throughout his career is that he's had tough wingers. He hasn't really had the best line mates in terms of like playing ability. And we brought these guys in to really elevate the playing ability from the younger players. And Panarin's going to end up with some younger guys. So I agree with Cody. I think Panarin's going to see a jump. He's probably going to pass the 100 point barrier this year.
I'm going to go in a different direction and say Barclay Goodrow.
I like that.
I just think, Laviolette kind of brings that grit factor as far as coaching goes. And I think Goodrow has had a pretty strong impact on the team so far in his first couple of years, but
good one.
I think there's still a little bit more room to improve, right? So, I don't know if it's like more points, but I think Goodrow will just be way more effective under Laviolette.
He needs that too, because he's the guy everybody looks at when we're talking about money struggles and we're talking about where the contract struggles are. Everybody first looks to Goodrow. So I wish the best for Barclay Goodrow. I think he's a great guy to have in the locker room. I genuinely think the guys love him in that locker room, and I really hope he has a big comeback year this year.
Yep. I was going to say, like, he to me is, the guy, just like you said, everybody looks at him as a scapegoat. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the guy they move in a deal to free up cap space and bring in somebody, because right now, the way you look at it, like, let's face it, there's a very good chance Cooley and Othman both are not making this squad. So, if they don't, I'm pretty sure they have like $600K of cap space. So the only way they're getting any more cap space to make a move, if they're competing going into that deadline, which I would assume they are, but they're fighting against the Devils and the Canes and all these other teams that are just as good, arguably. They're going to need to do something. And I think the only way to do that is to free up money. Unless Othman's like tearing it up or Cooley's tearing it up and they're like, this is the missing piece. And he's the perfect guy who they're going to look and be like, all right, this guy's 3.6. Like, he's the perfect scapegoat. We can move him. We can bring in a decent, like, they can bring in a 30 goal scorer who's just a pure goal scorer, something like that. So I don't know. He's a guy really, really to watch this season, just like you said, because I think just as much for Loft, like it's kind of make or break for Barclay Goodrow this year.
Mm-hmm. All right, the next one, well said, Cody. The next one from Brandman7694. We only have 3 left, so
okay.
There. Who do you think will lead the Rangers in goals and assists? I think it's a no-brainer. I actually think Kreider finishes with more goals this year than Mika does, but I think assists is Foxy.
Yeah,
more than Panarin.
Him or Panarin.
Yeah, I would say Foxy is more than Panarin this year, just because power play though. Foxy's he racks up points in the power play, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be one him or Panarin,
and those two are right there. Like last year, Panarin at 63, Foxy at 60.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you guys think?
I'm with you on that. I agree.
I think Mika's going to lead the team in goals. I think him and Kreider will both hit over 40. Yeah. I think him and Kreider are both going to hit over 40. I think Mika will beat him out by 2 or 3 goals. And assists, I'm probably going to go. Yeah, I mean, Panarin or Fox are the 2 guys, but I'm going to go with Panarin. I'm telling you, I think he's going to have like a crazy year. I just feel it. Shaved his head, ready for new beginnings. He's ready to go.
All right, this next one's from M.Craig10, another loyal question asker. How good is Othman? Got to be in the running to make the team.
Yeah, he's fucking good. He's fucking really good.
He's a beast.
He's right
really,
there.
really good player. Yeah, he's right there, and it's like we said earlier, it's a classic case of there's not space for him unless he's guaranteed minutes on the top 9, and they're not going to shove him on the 4th line and do that. So that's all.
One guy we actually haven't talked about is Kakko, and I'm very surprised that Kakko hasn't gotten more looks with Kreider and Zibanejad in the preseason. I know maybe Laviolette wants to give Lafreniere that chance, but I thought Kakko looked so confident in the preseason game he played against the Islanders. And I'm surprised he hasn't really been rewarded yet in the preseason. Maybe that's something that happens down the road, but I thought Kakko looked great so far in the preseason, and I'm surprised right now he's kind of in like that 2nd, 3rd line role.
Yeah, I think that's like sometimes the best things are unsaid. Like when you're not talking about a guy, it's probably a good thing. And I think Kakko's really taken that next step. He's such an elite playmaker in the offensive zone. His puck ability is insane. I think if he just shoots a little bit more, he's going to put more pucks in the back of the net. But he is so good with, like, I actually think he is nearly untouchable if he gets the puck in the corner. Like, it's very, like, the puck's on a string with him, and his size and his skating ability has only gotten better. I agree. I think he should probably be on the first line. I think he's been great there. And if anybody's really going to give Lafreniere the best chances in terms of like passing, it's going to be Panarin. So
yeah,
I'd give Kakko that first line spot and hope that Lafreniere just puts more pucks on the net, because we know he has the shot. He just hasn't really done it.
Yeah, no, super, like, very, very well said. And the Rangers, I mean, what'd you say?
I was giving snaps.
You know, I think it's really abundantly clear. Like, the one thing this team needs is more goal scorers. They have enough guys who make plays, and Kakko's that next guy in line that everybody looks at to potentially be a 30 goal scorer. You know, and I think the best way to do that is putting him on that top line with two really good vets, you know, to elevate his game. And yeah, I mean, that's what I think they should do.
Yeah. And then the last one, it's not even a question, but Sammy Hockey 36, another loyal one. The discussion on bagels from last pod. The best bagel is Montreal bagels. That's a fact. I've actually heard Montreal bagels are fucking amazing.
Is that in New York? Is that in New York?
No, it's like literally Montreal, like the city in Canada.
Oh, like he's just talking about Montreal.
Like bagels in Montreal. Yeah, apparently they're amazing.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Yeah. And better than New Jersey and New York. I don't know about that.
Utopia Bagel in Queens, the best.
Yo, Avery, you're from my county, right? You're from Bergen.
Yeah,
dude. Have you had Modern Bagel in Fair Lawn? It's incredible.
Very good.
It's incredible.
Very, very good. Yeah, Utopia Bagel in Queens though is the best I've ever had. It's one of those ones that just comes out of the oven and it's like you don't even have to toast it. Like it's hard on the outside, soft on the inside. It was actually life changing for a guy who's been in Jersey and who's had good bagels his entire life. Yeah. It was really good.
All right, fellas. Well, thanks for all the questions, everybody that sent them in. We'll be back next week. Two more preseason games left this week.
Really?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh my, no, not like really. Like I was just surprised there were more games. I always thought the preseason was like shorter.
No, speaking of the preseason, do you know why they're only having like the Rangers play 3 teams the whole preseason? Like do they always do that?
They keep it local. Yeah,
it's like a travel. Yeah. I feel like they used to play like Boston though.
They did play Boston already, and they're playing them again. Yeah.
See, that just shows you how much buy-in I have on preseason.
Yeah, no, it's just Devils, Isles, and Boston. That's their 3 teams. But I'm surprised, like no Flyers, no Buff. Like
it's so next week will be our last like 1 episode a week, and then once the season starts, we'll get into 2. And I know Cody's due any day to be a father, so this might be the last time you guys hear from him for a couple weeks.
And this is my last episode from New Jersey.
Yeah. A lot of changes being made here on the Blue Crew. But Cody, you want to send it off?
LFGR, baby.